I am an avid manga reader, and it's always a pleasure to see something that is made from paper being put into motion. As we say, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but you still can't help that such words can come to life through anime. Which is why I will always remain a weeb well into the retirement years of my parents, who will no doubt be asking themselves, how did she become this way? It was the internet's fault, Mom. But then becoming a weeb is mine, so sorry, Mom. Or not sorry? Either way, this list is for those of you who love manga and have not realized the anime is made, or that you haven't decided on watching the series just yet. This list will make you realize how much you're missing out. Before I start this list, I know that this may just be a random click of your day, but I hope that you can give this video a like and comment, as this can help a small channel grow. First up is Horimiya, the anime that seems like a shoujo, but is actually a shonen despite its romance and slice of life elements. Although these aspects are better suited for shoujo, it is actually published in a shonen magazine, making it a shonen. Regardless of what it actually is, this rom-com manga was my absolute favorite. It showed the hardships of high school as a teenager who knows nothing of the world, and how difficult it is to maintain relationships, whether it be platonic or romantic ones. Although by the time the series was finished, I was well into my freshman year of college, and it shouldn't be relevant anymore, but it continued to have a strong hold on me. And then the anime absolutely shattered that. I love Horimiya, but the anime was an absolute rush. It made it seem as though all the connections that were made throughout the series seemed like it didn't matter at all, and the struggles of Miyamura's past as a victim of bullying, the whole dynamic between Sakura, Remi, and Sengoku, which proved that friendships can last, the growth of Miyamura and Hori's relationship from the beginning to the end of the manga series, just thrown out the fucking window. There is so much things I would like to say about the anime adaptation, but that's probably going to be another video. Despite this anime being a disappointment to me, I feel like this anime can expose more people to the manga, and perhaps later down the line, someone can give the adaptation some form of justice. For now, it remains a simple rom-com that will always have a place in my heart. My first exposure to Fruits Basket was the 2001 version, and the manga was still incomplete at the time, which is why the anime had such an ending. And as usual, I got curious and wanted to see if there was a manga for it. Lo and behold, there was. Let me just tell you how much the manga broke me, from finding my OTP that is Yuki and Machi, seeing Toru fight so hard for the Zodiac in spite of how much heartbreak she goes through, and to lifting the curse once and for all. It was such a roller coaster ride of tears and snot. Mostly on my end, and not the characters, because it's a manga and so there's no such thing as an ugly crier. Then there was the 2019 remake of the Fruits Basket that was honestly way better than the first one. I mean, the 2001 version will always have a spot in my heart as my first tragedy anime, but still the 2019 version beats it by a long mile. The new adaptation conveyed the beautiful romance as well as the pain of the characters, whether it be physical or mental, because that's how great the series got. It was just excellent at giving the manga the recognition it should have by being able to portray such deep emotions. I mean, it was missing some key moments, especially with my OTP, and putting Yuki's character development a little bit to the side, but a lot of the stuff was good. So it was really great to see the Fruits Basket characters come to life after all this time. The pure love story of Sasaki and Miyano will always be the best Shonen Ai anime adaptation in my heart. Since there's not much of actual Shonen Ai series, I was pleasantly surprised when this was getting adapted into an anime. Before this, we may joke about the bromance between two characters, but I seriously hoped for an actual series where two boys were actually gonna pursue one another out of love, not just a bromance. Despite the manga being in progress, the anime did a great job at presenting the crucial scenes. The ones where each boy realizes their love for one another, the way both of them concerned about each other's feelings, like if they're being too forceful or rude, and especially the confession scene where they actually tell each other the most important thing in any relationship, and that is, they like one another. Oh. So we just have to wait and see how the manga goes and whether or not any more of the series will get adapted. The only critique I have about Sasaki To Miyano is that it's not completed, so I cannot wait for a second season. When you ask for the best slice of life anime with supernatural elements, I would always suggest Natsume's Book of Friends. The anime has a similar softness to the manga, which is delivered really well through the animation. The emotional pain of the characters to the humanity that exists in the yokais are conveyed through the screen. You can really tell how much work was put into the series. To make people become invested in the main character as well as the creature of the episode is not an easy job, but the anime was able to accomplish this really well. The anime does this by focusing on the characters' flaws, making us see how the characters work through their problems and having us relate to their struggles. Our main character not only faces the past of being abandoned and shunned for his abilities of seeing the supernatural, but slowly moves on to becoming more confident. The character growth is clearly seen here, and the tears and heartwarming feels from the series will move you to the point of grabbing some tissues because it will come out of nowhere and sucker punch you. In terms of comedy manga, the Working series is like none other that I have watched. The manga is written in a yonkoma or a 4-cell manga that is in a comic strip format, which is commonly used in the comedy genre. It seriously reminds me of a sitcom, but with more emotions thanks to the more expressive anime eyes and faces. It is absolutely great at giving me a good laugh with its lighthearted jokes without having to resort to the race card or being sexual. It has a spin-off that is set in another family restaurant with a whole different set of characters. Both of them are easily on the top of my list as comedy animes that is at times genuine and has rom-com elements that makes it so much more fun to watch. Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting is one of the most adorable animes I have watched. There are other ones that can compete with this series, but if you want to know about other recommendations, let me know in the comments. A violent guy who turns into a huge softie for a young child is honestly one of the sweetest things that can ever happen. Just to see someone find themselves through taking care of a kid is a trope I don't mind seeing over and over again. This is just pure wholesomeness with aesthetic animation that shows how heartwarming the series is. At this point, you may have guessed that I love soft anime a lot, and I do love my action, but only from time to time. The way the anime shows the relationship of Kirishima, the Yakuza, and Yaika, the child, in a pure and positive way that make it so that you can't go wrong with checking the anime and manga. An absolute staple of the shoujo genre, which is the Snow White with red hair, was finally animated in 2015. The manga itself is still ongoing, so there's really no way to know how the series will end just yet. But so far, the vibe is very much like how I'll imagine the series would be like if it ever came to life. Very soft music with pastel colors to convey the softness of the characters and storyline. This is why it's an absolute fan favorite. Manga readers who have stuck by this series rejoice at the fact that Zen and Snow White can show off their story of love and drama. Each episode was well paced and followed the manga really well. The most important scenes are not half-assed like a lot of adaptations and was really purposeful. This is something that was not missed by the readers, and this anime was so well adapted that it converted people to reading the manga too. Although the Magus Bride has romance in it, it is not necessarily the whole focus of the show. Rather, it is about the development of Chise and how she will grow into the person she wants to become. The character of Chise is not just a girl who has strong powers, it's about her grasping control over her own life, as well as the power she was given. I can probably speak for all of us that the music was absolutely phenomenal in the season, and it just speaks of the fantasy and mythological elements on a whole different level. Everything was just tied up so nicely with the music, the animation, as well as the actors who were able to make the characters come to life with their voice. There are probably some small details that did not make it into the anime, but I think so far, everything from the adaptation followed the manga really closely. It didn't skip over the large parts of the manga, and it really did the manga justice. I just hope that this will be the same for the next season, and I look forward to seeing Chise grow even more into the character and establish herself well into her life. Slice of life anime is my favorite genre, and Wotakoi is one of the best that I've ever seen. It's so good that I have even watched a live action version of it, even though the musical part of it kinda threw me off a little. Either way, the anime is my favorite series of all times because of the comedic moments in the aspect of being an otaku, or as it is known in the West, being a weeb. Sure, rom-com is mostly favored by the girls, but I think guys can also get into this. The series does have perspectives from both the girlfriend and boyfriend experience. How some of the otaku girls or fujoshis, or simply known as female fans of manga, anime, and novels that feature romantic relationships between men, whose boyfriends have to get used to the idea that their partner has such interests. It's not that bad, trust me. Then we also see how the girlfriends may feel inferior to the idols that are beloved by their otaku boyfriends because they have more quote-unquote assets than them. You know, normal couple stuff? The series will absolutely get some laugh out of you. When they decided to adapt the case study of Vanitas, I thought this was going to be like Pandora Hearts, the manga that is written by the same author whose anime was kind of a flop. I mean, the manga was great, but at the time the adaptation started and the series was barely finished. Hence why the ending freaking sucked. And the vampire story of Vanitas was given a proper adaptation. The way the characters were designed were straight out of the manga and everything seemed to follow what was on paper, including the cliffhanger the series was left on. But because being a manga artist is not easy, the chapters will not come out as fast and it will take years. Mochizuki Jun is great at giving depth to her characters, especially from what I've seen in Pandora Hearts. You become so attached and you can't help but stay until the very end, which is what I'll be hoping for from the wonderful series of the case study of Vanitas. There's probably more mangas I have not covered in this video, so if you have made it this far, let me know in the comments as to what mangas you thought were the best, and maybe there will be another part to this series. Until next time, I hope you all have a good day. Bye!